Okay, thank you. Well, I'm delighted to be in India. It's been a lifelong ambition of mine. So it's wonderful to be here. So thank you for inviting me and thank you for coming to listen today. I'm going to go around the front here. I'm not keen on going behind there. The previous speaker was very learned. She worked on policy, she's worked on producing books. I aspire to be like that person. I'm a lifelong learner. I've spent all my time with young children, first of all, and then with adults, and then I worked in universities. I'm not a specialist in special educational needs, but I've worked in classrooms where there are a number of children, and some of those children had special educational needs. So a lot of the speakers have been speaking about very broad subjects at the macro level, but we're to bring it right back down now, and we're going to look at the micro level, i.e. me as the individual, and where I am at the moment. I'm not actually a doctor yet. Very soon, I hope. Sean is smiling. Very, very soon, I hope. I was bringing up my children. I have 3 children. It was busy. So now I'm still working on my doctorate, and I've become convinced that care is what makes the world go round. Care is very, very important to us as humans, and the world wouldn't function without care. And yet, sometimes care is taken for granted, and the people who are involved in caring roles, I can see some of you nodding, sometimes the people who are involved in caring roles are not given recognition, and they're not given status, and they're not paid very well. In England, where I come from, if you work in early years or early childhood education and care, which I insist on calling it because it's very important to have the care aspect there. You can't educate a child without care. You can get the same money working in a supermarket as working with young children. Did you say sad? It is sad. It is sad. And it's a reflection on society. So I want to raise the status of care and the importance of that to us as a society, as a world. And I want to raise the status predominantly of women working in caring roles. So that's my background. That's what I feel passionate about. So I'm nearly at the end of my thesis now, and from the end and from the data that I've collected, welcome. Oh, it's nice to be popular. It's nice to be popular. But on the other thing I need to say as well is we won't be overrunning, because well done for getting to this point in the conference. It's been absolutely marvellous conference, and it's been very intense, and well done. Yes, so I wanted, from the data, there I interviewed in a non-structured way some participants who worked in a day nursery in England, and I asked them what made them feel cared for, right? So this is a complete switch from the rest of the week, because the rest of the conference the focus has been on children. This focus now is on you. You, the people who work with young children and with children with special educational needs, because you are giving care all the time, yeah? And sometimes it can be exhausting, sometimes it can be very emotionally complex, sometimes it can take over your life. Sometimes you might go home and not be able to think about anything else, or perhaps your own family, if you're worrying about a child. So it's very emotionally complex. So my question is, who cares for the carers? You. Who cares for you? Okay? And this is something that has been neglected. From the minute Sujata began communication with me in England, a relationship was building and building and building. So that relationship was starting to be built even before I got here. Then the way everything is organized, we've all been assigned somebody who will help us. Our needs have been recognized and our needs have been met. So that's very important, isn't it, to feeling cared for. Can you think of any examples where you have feel particularly cared for in this conference environment? Would anybody like to give any suggestions? Yes, Betsy. Your student support, outstanding. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yes, yeah, yeah, yeah. That's, I mean, all our needs have been provided for, the food, the student support. We've been welcomed. We've been very welcomed. And even before I got to India, and even before the conference started, I felt a sense of belonging here. And that is very, very important. So what's happened here is a culture of care has been created in this conference, in the way this conference has been planned, and in the way this conference has been led. So, where do you think that is coming from? Who do you think leads that culture of care? Who influences it? The leader, okay. Now, when I was interviewing the participants, working with them, by the way, it was a participatory approach because they were all professionals, so they were informing me as well as me informing them. The leader was mentioned very much on one of the key themes in the data. That's not really surprising, is it? The leader is very important in setting a caring culture. Something that wasn't expected, perhaps, was how important the care was that the children, that the staff had from the children. How important it was to them, and how important it was to their role. And that's something that's never really been acknowledged before, because children are sometimes invisible in research, or they're not given a voice in research, or their contribution is not recognized. Anyway, out of the data, out of the findings, a particular kind of leadership was starting to emerge, which I have called cultivational leadership. And as our esteemed chairperson has said to me when I was getting up, it's interesting to have an alternative model of leadership that's not based on authority and control. So you can see from the picture on the screen there, it's using as its imagery the idea of growth, the idea of plants, the idea of nurturing. And those plants in the bottles there, that flower is called a daffodil. And that is the national plant where I grew up in Wales. So I chose that one particularly. Okay, so cultivational leadership. I'm just going to talk you through it briefly. And then, as I say, we're not going to go over time. And then you can contact me at any point if you'd like to find out some more about it. So could we go to the next? I've got 20 minutes left. Yeah, okay. Okay, I decided to look at styles of leadership that went beyond Western models. So I decided to look wider, and some of you might have come across the word Ubuntu. Yes, you have? Yeah, yeah. You're all nodding, yeah. So that idea of I am because we are. Yeah, okay. So I was influenced by the thinking there, and that helped me in this formulation of cultivational leadership. And then, if you could do the next slide, please. As part of Ubuntu, there's a saying that says, "Sawu bono." I hope I'm pronouncing that. Do you think you know how to pronounce it? Sawubona. Is that correct? Am I saying it correctly? Yeah, okay. Sawubona, I see you. I see you. So that sentence in itself is saying lots of things. It means I see you, I recognize you, I know you have a voice, I know what you can contribute. I see you. I see you as a person. And it's very important to be seen, isn't it? And taken notice of. Okay, so that was one non-Western area that I looked to. The next, please. I came across Ubaituri. Has anybody come across that term before? No? Ubaituri. You can see it's a Japanese word. I was very fortunate to go to Japan last year. Yes, did you want to say something? It's the blossom, yeah, it's the cherry blossom, that's right. In Japan, it's very, very important in the cherry blossom season. It's very important to families, it's very important to society. And when I was lucky enough to be there with my son, the first lot of cherry blossom was coming out, and there was great excitement. So from that and from the different arrival of the blossom, if I remember properly, there's four main types of blossom, but they don't all come out at the same time. They come out when they're ready. So we all develop and we all blossom when we're ready. So each child is an individual. Each adult working in a setting, that's my focus, is an individual. And some people might be very good at something at some stage, and other people might take longer to get to that stage. So we don't think that every child is going to be, and this is very, very, very important, isn't it, when we're thinking about working with children with special needs? Yeah? Because, you know, some people talk about normal development and developmental milestones and what children should be doing. Well, this is an idea, this is a philosophy that very much doesn't recognize that. This is an idea in Japanese society that people blossom, they grow, they develop at their own pace. And when the time is right, then it will happen. Do you agree? Yeah. Okay. So perhaps I've introduced that to you for the first time, and that may be something that you might be interested in. Okay, next one. Okay, so as I've just said, it's based on a Japanese concept based on the unfolding of the blossom. We all grow, develop and bloom at different stages. Right, can we go to the next one, please? Right. This model of cultivational leadership that I'm proposing would have 4 key elements. And those are the 4 key elements. And by the way, when I'm talking about leadership, it doesn't necessarily have to be the person at the top of the organization who's the leader. I can see somebody nodding at the back there. I'm sure you've all heard of distributed leadership. So everybody can act as their own leader if they're empowered to do so. So the first key element is empowering others. The second is acknowledging mutuality. These are key themes that have been coming out all through the conference. This idea of reciprocity, this interaction between people. So acknowledging mutuality, honoring uniqueness. Every child, every person is unique. And there we've got caring at the bottom. So caring would be very much part of that leadership style. Now, a lot of leadership models come from industry or from business, and they were designed by men. I'm glad you laughed. And I think it's important that we, as women, are strong and we say, no, that doesn't work for us. That doesn't work for us in our setting. We need a different type of leadership. It is not soft. It is not soft to be caring. It's very important. It shouldn't be seen as a sign of weakness. So, you know, we have to take charge and we have to say, yes, we're going to have styles or models of leadership that are appropriate to us and speak to our needs and our situations. 10 minutes, thank you. No, that's fine, that's fine. Okay, can we go to the next slide, please? Right, so if any of you have been studying leadership, you might have come across a group of models that are called values-based leadership, VBL. There's quite a group of them. For example, distributed leadership, pedagogical leadership, relational leadership. And those type of leadership models are regarded as transformational, another key word that we've heard for the last 3 days. And it's authentic. It's transformational and authentic. So those ideas feed into this new concept, if you like, of cultivational leadership. Next one, please. Right, what would it mean to be that type of leader? You would need several types of competencies, and I've just made a list of them there. Don't worry about trying to write them down because it will be available afterwards. You need to be creative, you need to be resilient, you need to be able to resolve conflict, you need to be emotionally intelligent. There's a lot of competencies that are needed to be the type of cultivational leader. Okay? So, next one, please. Right, okay, so what are the practical applications of this type of leadership? Individuals are seen as value contributors. So, as a leader at whatever level of the organisation or wherever you are in the hierarchy, you've got an obligation to teach and to serve. You might have heard of servant leadership as a model, and create new meaning with others. Yeah? Because we all learn from everybody else, don't we? When we're talking, or sometimes we need advice. So leaders need to adopt a caring, interpersonal, and affective leadership, affective to do with our feelings, that seeks to connect. And then, very importantly, trust needs to be built. Yeah? Anybody want to make any comments on that? Any other practical applications you think there might be of that? Okay. Please do tell me. Yes. Thank you. Do you want to have the mic?
I come from Gujarat. I have 2 centers known as Osmosis. So I am basically leading the center, and the staff members themselves comment that I should be firm and not very I'm not very affirmative. I do all my work like with a lot of emotional balance involved. So how do I become a good leader? Like the staff tells me that, madam, you should be firm. Firm.
Thank you so much for that. I think perhaps there's a thinking that caring equates to being nice. And just smoothing everything over and letting everything happen. But we know that when we're bringing up children, sometimes we have to do, in England we call tough love. Tough love, do you know that saying? So you have to put boundaries in place, and you have to explain why you're putting those boundaries in place. And perhaps it's a bit the same with the staff. Perhaps you need tough love. Perhaps they need tough love. What is tough love? Well, tough love is... Yeah. Well, what did you say in response? Yeah. Okay. Pardon? Translation of tough love. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So sometimes you have to point out to the staff if they need support with something. You might say, "Oh, were you happy with the way that went this morning? Perhaps you could have tried this when you were doing that." Or you could do lots of modelling, lots of mentoring. This idea that we're all working together to make a better setting for the children. That's a very brief answer, but I wish we had a lot more time to talk about it. But thank you so much. Did you want to say something? Yeah.
Can we take the sessions, the question answers later, please?
Oh, yes. Yeah, I do like audience participation, though. Yes, it could be. Excellent. Excellent. That was a display of tough love. Yeah? Yeah? So for my own sake, this lady stepped in and told me that I need to carry on and not ask so many questions. So thank you, that's perfect. That's perfect. Okay, so we'll move on from that now. So how did I arrive at this idea of cultivational leadership? Well, first of all, I've lived the job and I've got all the experience from the job for a number of years. Obviously reading research and talking with and observing others and gathering data for my EdD thesis. So that's how I have come to this point. But I have to say, after attending this conference for 2 or 3 days, I think I'm going to be adding lots more to it when I go back. It's really sparked my thinking and my learning in different ways from things I've learned from other people at the conference. So I will be going home adding things to it. So I'm just going to talk you through my thesis now, okay? So could we go to the next one? Okay, so my research, perhaps you're not surprised. I'm interested in people. I'm not really a numbers person. I'm interested in people. I'm interested in their lives. I'm interested in how they see the world. So my research is qualitative. And I wanted it to be participatory in nature. So I've tried to build in participation throughout the process to create this idea that it's our research. And remember, it's a case study. So any ideas that come out of this study will hopefully have a positive impact on the setting and on the working days of the people who work there. And then there might be some transferability to other settings. Other settings might look at the research, other people might say, oh, we could try that here. I was very, very keen that my research would have practical impact. I wanted to improve the lives of the very mainly women who work with young children and make sure that the focus was on them. Okay. So, just quickly, can we go to the next one, please? Right, so there's a lot of work nowadays about well-being. And when I first started thinking about my thesis, I was going to look at everything through the prism of well-being. But if I said to you now, how is your well-being at this particular moment in time? How would you know how to answer that question? You know, how could we measure it? It would be so different from every, you know, it's such a wide topic. There's no single definition of what we mean by well-being to begin with. Do we mean general well-being, or do we mean just well-being in the classroom? Do we mean physical well-being? Do we mean mental well-being? And if somebody asked me how I felt this exact moment in time now, I'd say, well, my well-being is high because I'm with people that I'm enjoying meeting, and we're having we're exchanging ideas. But maybe something at home might be going wrong, or I might be worried about some big war in the world. So there's different levels, aren't there, from the micro in the middle right out to the macro that have an effect on well-being. So I decided to, rather than focus on well-being, I would look at caring and caring cultures within a setting. We're out of time now. Okay, could we just very quickly just show the next slide? I used Bronfenbrenner. You've probably come across Bronfenbrenner's ecological systems. I used ethics of care or care ethics. And just, yeah, just very, very quickly, the methodology was called CCM, Critical Communicative Methodology, which was developed at a university in Barcelona. It's very interesting because it treats everybody as equals. There's no hierarchy between the researcher and the participants. There are references for you. So, given that we're at the end of time and it's the end of the conference, and I think it's probably a good time to finish, so please do get in touch with me if there's anything else that you would like to find out or you would like to know. Okay? Go and have a rest and a drink. Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Julie. Are there any questions? Any observations, any questions that you would want to ask? Any comment? Yes.
Sorry? Okay. Yes, Betsy, but not now because we've run out of time. Yes.
State what they are.
Yeah.
This is I think you do get a couple of questions.
Okay.
That's
right.
why they call it a. It's okay.
Yes. Sorry. Right. Well, thank you, Lisa. Right.
You're right. I mean, it is mostly male-dominated models that we use because we have a leadership course. But thinking about where else it could be transferred to, I'm thinking about higher education within course teams who are working with wider participation groups.
Yes, yeah.
Because the emotional burden of the staff is the one thing they talk about to get that success.
Yeah.
So I guess when you're thinking about your recommendations, some of the things to think about is, what types of, who else is doing caring? Because we care for that transition point when we're in higher education.
So the recommendations thank you for that question. And just quickly going back to Betsy's question, perhaps some of the recommendations would be that you have a supervisor that perhaps you talk to you about the heavy load that you carry. It could be that you have mentoring. It could be that you have, professional development is critical. Professional development plays a huge part in this. And as a team where you work, you would have to decide and have a discussion about what cultivational leadership could mean to you in your team. Okay? Thank you very much. Oh. Yeah.
Especially when it comes to the children with intellectual disability. Yeah. So where we have experience and we are like, our legacy is going out for care. Yes. And that's where it made a lot of more emphasis which you presently talked about.
Okay, thank you. So the children are very important, but don't forget about yourselves. Look after yourselves. Yeah, okay. Thank you.